He's one of the most successful drivers in Formula One racing. But could he be forced to retire early? Max Verstappen has previously made comments hinting that he plans to retire at a young age. A two-time Formula One world champion,
Max Verstappen, two-time world champion. Woo!
Verstappen is under contract with Red Bull Racing through 2028. He has previously stated that he doesn't plan to race well into his 30s, and that he may retire at the end of his contract, when he would be 31 years old. However, could he be forced to retire even sooner than that? Verstappen is not a fan of F1 adding sprint races to its weekend schedule, and the two-time world champion recently reiterated his position when reacting to the news that the sport will be adding an extra qualifying session to the format for the next round in Azerbaijan. Speaking to Portuguese TV in Australia, Verstappen said he will not be racing for much longer if the sport continues to make a lot of changes. He said, "I hope there won't be too many changes. Otherwise, I won't be around for long."
It's a fifth consecutive win for Max Verstappen. He wins!
Later in a press conference, Verstappen had more to say. "I'm not a fan of it at all," he said. "I think when we're going to do all that kind of stuff, the weekend becomes more intense, and we're already doing so many races. So I think that it's not the right way to go at it." Verstappen doesn't seem to be a fan of an expanded F1 schedule down the road. We're heading into seasons where you have at one point 24-25 races, because that's where we're going to head into.
Russell to the inside, Russell to the lead of the Grand Prix to bring a roar from the crowd.
If we start adding even more stuff, it's not worth it for me anyway. I'm not enjoying that. Should Verstappen's retirement threat be taken seriously? One F1 world champion thinks so. On the Sky Sports F1 podcast, Damon Hill, the 1996 F1 world champion, emphasized that F1 bosses should not take Verstappen's retirement threat lightly.
Damon Hill exits the chicane and wins.
Hill explained, "Max's retirement threat is very unusual. This is kind of strange to hear, isn't it? I think fun is a very important point," he continued. Is he having fun? Because I sometimes think he's not having fun. I think you have to love what you're doing. Otherwise, it's a grind. In addition to being critical of the current F1 schedule, Verstappen also suggested that sprint racing was not a part of the sport's traditional fabric, which up until now has always emphasized and awarded all the points to the 305-kilometer Sunday Grand Prix. On the podcast, Hill said that he was understanding of Verstappen's thoughts. Considering that sprint racing is still in its early stages and not a meaningful part of the sport's history and fabric, I think there's an element of this with Max, with him wanting not to waste his time on superfluous things that really are just invented for novelty reasons," Hill stated. "I think he's that kind of person." Hill went on to suggest that Verstappen doesn't find sprint races to be of much value to his resume of accomplishments. I can imagine him just saying it's because he just thinks, "Well, I've just come here and want to win Grand Prix. I just want one race to mean something. I don't want to win a half-value race. What's the point of that on your CV?" Saying that traditional Formula One races have been entertaining, Verstappen noted how sprint racing is different than a traditional F1 race. "For me, a sprint race is all about surviving. It's not about racing." He said, "When you have a quick car, there's nothing to risk. I prefer to just keep my car alive and make sure that you have a good race car for Sunday. And even if you change the format, I don't find it's the DNA of Formula One to do these kinds of sprint races." He continued, "F1 is about getting the most out of it in qualifying, and then having an amazing Sunday, good long race distances. That's the DNA of the sport, and I don't understand, or I don't know why we should change that, because I think the action has been good." Instead of the new format, Verstappen thinks the sport would benefit from reducing F1 events to a two-day format. I understand, of course, they want to have basically every day exciting, but then I think maybe it's better to just reduce the weekend, only race on Saturday and Sunday, and make those 2 days exciting, Verstappen said.
Mercedes threw everything at him today. Charles Leclerc has coped brilliantly.
And how you get even more action is about getting the cars closer, getting more teams able to fight for the win, and I think naturally the show will be great. He continued, "If we have 6-7 teams already fighting for a win, that will be insane. Then you really don't need to change anything." This is not the first time that Verstappen has suggested that he may retire early. Speaking to Sports Illustrated in March, Verstappen noted that he is very fortunate to be a Formula One driver, but noted that there is more to life. "I know I'm very lucky to drive a Formula One car," he said.
He manages to get round Ricardo, goes a long way round turn one.
"I can do what I want, but at some point, it doesn't matter. I already have a lot of plans for what I want to do. It's also about quality of life. There are other things in life besides Formula One. I have a contract until 2028, and after that, I'll see." Concluding, Verstappen said, "I don't want to spend my best years physically just in Formula One. With the races multiplying, 23 or 24 a year is far too many." Speaking to Sky Sports last October, Verstappen made similar comments, noting that he would like to try different forms of racing. "I don't see myself driving until I'm 40, because I want to also do other stuff," he said. "I'm having a lot of fun with what I'm doing right now, and I'm still in F1 for a couple more years. I'm signed until 28. After that, it also depends how everything is going, but I'll probably try to do a few different kinds of racing, because it's important also to try different things." While being just 25 years old, Verstappen has been racing in F1 since 2015.
Down the inside goes Verstappen on Bottas, who knew it was coming.
If he were to retire after the 2028 season, Verstappen would need to win the F1 championship every year in order to dethrone Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton for most championships.
Lewis Hamilton, from 14th on the grid, wins the German Grand Prix.
Schumacher and Hamilton both won 7 titles. However, it doesn't sound like Verstappen places much emphasis on tying or breaking those records, as when he spoke to the BBC after his first championship in 2021, he said that winning more championships wouldn't mean as much to him as his first one. In F1, not so much, because that's it. You have completed it, and it doesn't matter anymore how many you win, because you have already won one, Verstappen said. He continued, "Of course, I would try to win more, but that's done. That's the final goal, and I will, of course, work very hard to achieve that. And after that, there's less pressure. Of course, I will have a lot of fun driving, but then maybe slowly you start thinking of other stuff outside of Formula One. It is feasible for Formula One drivers to race into their late 30s and 40s, as Hamilton is 37 and Fernando Alonso is 41. However, based on his comments, it doesn't sound like Verstappen will be racing at those ages. Do you think that he will retire early, or does he still have some good years left in him? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. So, there you have it. From not liking sprint racing to concerns about Formula One increasing its schedule, those are the reasons why Max Verstappen could retire early. That's all we have for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.